Morning, Steve Free in Chicago with the morning grain comments. Yesterday we had quite the markets. The overnight trade was limit up, the expanded limits in corn, and also in limit up in soybean oil. Most of that was some carry through short covering as we get into first notice day, margin call buying, and just concern about the open interest and the shorts in the marketplace. Then we started hearing talk about the potential for better weather across the Midwest over the next 2 weeks. And then we saw maybe the final liquidation of the shorts and a lack of follow through. And the markets traded lower, and they traded sharply lower. And overnight they continue to be lower. So this is basically day 2 of some long liquidation. Usually that lasts 3 days. In diving into the weather outlook over the next 2 weeks, the 6 to 10 day calls for warm temps and normal rains. There's 3 possible rain events, one today, one early next week, and then one later in the week. And we look for about 50% coverage of 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch of rain across the Midwest. Most areas will be getting some kind of rain except for possibly the western part of Iowa and the Dakotas. And so that is still the area that raises the most concern about summer weather patterns. So in general, I don't think we've seen the highs in the marketplace. And I think once the market gets its feet underneath it, we should start finding some support levels and eventually move higher. The next focus is going to be on deliveries, which are expected to be light, and then the month-end trading, and then the USDA's May 12th report, which they'll come out with new S&Ds. There also was rumors floating around that U.S. prices have gone sharply higher, and they are well above some other world prices. So there's rumors of Argentina corn coming into the U.S. East Coast, Brazil soybeans. There may have already been one cargo that is bought into the East Coast, and that French wheat works into the U.S. East Coast, and that the Baltic wheat is cheap enough to work into Mexico for feed, and then even South American meal could come into the U.S. There was also talk that South American soybean oil could also come into the U.S. So the combination of maybe a little bit better weather forecast across the Midwest and all this talk about imports into the U.S. Caused also a collapse in prices. There was rumors floating around that China may wash out some Brazil soybean cargoes due to demurrage costs and the large lineup. We also noted that there was one grain company yesterday that said that based on their data, they could see U.S. corn and soybean combined acres up 5 million from the March intentions. Some analysts feel that this prospect was already filtered in by the USDA's March intention report. We also noted yesterday that Egypt canceled a wheat tender. Prices to them was $33 a metric ton above their previous purchase. And so again, we'll be watching any, as far as trade volume, we'll be watching for some support levels. We'll be watching the U.S. Midwest weather, and we'll be watching the USDA May 12th report. As always, these are my thoughts, not those of ADM or ADM Investor Services. Have a safe and profitable trading day. And remember, always treat people like yourself would like to be treated.